We are literally experiencing one of the biggest and most monumental events in United States history right now with the dropping of the Twitter files by Elon Musk, who literally has exposed corruption on multiple levels via the FBI, the Biden administration, or the Biden team, as well as the mainstream media, who has been going along with this entire thing, no questions asked. It's almost as if the mainstream media has been covering for the Biden administration and the Democrats and their progressive liberal agendas. I am sick and tired. And what really gets me irked to this level is the mainstream media isn't even covering the Twitter files outside of Fox News. They're just completely and utterly silent. Why? Because they were complicit in colluding with the FBI and the Biden administration in doing it, because they downplayed any information they got and did not report it, which begs the question. If they're not reporting on it, why wouldn't they? They're out there instead saying, oh, these Twitter files are old news and it's not a big deal. And that's exactly what you say when you realize that your crimes have been exposed. They're in a straight up panic. The FBI is panicking, the Biden administration is panicking, and even the mainstream media in on all of that. They're in a panic. I've got so much to show you in today's broadcast. Please listen through its entirety because, again, mainstream media is not talking about it, but I will. But before I do, quick break from my sponsor. Apple and other tech giants have a notorious history of banning any apps that they don't like, especially apps that revolve around free speech, like Twitter, since Elon Musk has taken over. That's why I highly recommend you get Virtual Shield at hidewithlisa.com. They are the #1 privacy act that helps people to get around censorship and, of course, get access to the apps that they love before it's too late. Virtual Shield is my favorite top-rated app, and I would not recommend using any other VPN. Virtual Shield is a no-log VPN that helps you to get your anonymity online. It also helps protect you against hackers and has exceptional speeds. They have military-grade encryption and are based right here in the United States. They are by far the best choice for online privacy. Not only that, but they're also the best choice at keeping your browsing history safe. Don't wait any longer. You are going to want to experience this for yourself. So do what I did and go to hidewithlisa.com and sign up today. The great news is right now they're doing a 30-day free trial so you can try it out hassle-free. Not only that, but they're giving away an amazing discount of 73% off for life. That's 73% off for life. And all you have to do is click on Get Started and fill out the information to get started today. Find out for yourself why tens of thousands of people have already switched to Virtual Shield at hidewithlisa.com. And like I said, I will not use any other VPN. This is absolutely the only one that I know, love, and trust. Want more information? It's found in the description box below. All right, back to the broadcast. So let's dive into this massive corruption. Now, I've touched on a lot of this, or a part of the Twitter files in earlier reports, but in this broadcast, I really want to put all 4 of the drops that they've made so far together and kind of tie that in. And you're going to learn a lot of stuff, even that Michelle Obama requested that Trump be taken off of Twitter as well. And more information is coming out on all of that. And by the way, Elon Musk is promising to do more drops here soon. But let's start with the first batch of drops. I'm really going to skim over this because I've touched about it before, but I really kind of want to give you an idea of what's going on. And Michael Schellenberg kind of gives us a real good overall view on what all is going on. So I'm going to hone in on some of his stuff as well as Matt Taibbi. But here it is, part 1. And for those catching up, here's kind of the overall. Part 1 was the first drop of Twitter by Elon Musk on what's going on and what's happening. It says part 1, Matt Taibbi documents how senior Twitter executives violated their own policies to prevent the spread of accurate, truthful information about Hunter Biden's laptop. So part 1 really focuses on Hunter Biden and why Twitter took the information or hid the information and prevented the spreading of Hunter Biden's laptop information. Now, Matt Taibbi kind of gets into that here, and I'm going to just hit the highlights. But here's one of the highlights. Requests came in from connected actors to delete tweets, and they were routine. One executive would write to another, more to review from the Biden team, and the reply would come back, "We handled it. We handle it." And here's just the tweet that they reference here, or the email, that they reference. And you can see more to review from the Biden team. Completely and utterly impeachable offense, in my opinion, because this is direct collusion with the federal department and a social media company. They're not supposed to be able to ask for such requests, but here it is. And of course, all these requests were handled by Twitter. Then they could also ask for, celebrities to their post to be removed at the request of a political party. And here it is. Here's the DNC colluding. I grabbed the first one under SI, deferred to safety on the highest profile second one. And here's two. An additional report from the DNC. These were requests that came in from government agencies. The DNC, right? It came in from the DNC, asking to request, in this case, James Wood, an actor's report. Now, they go on to reveal this as well. The decision, and I think this is an important part, was made at the highest levels of the company, but without the knowledge of CEO Jack Dorsey, with former head of legal policy and trust, Vaheda Gatti, playing a key role. Now, I want to hit the pause button here because here's the thing. Apparently or supposedly, we're not 100%, but this was made without the knowledge of CEO Jack Dorsey. Now, we also know that Jack Dorsey encouraged Elon Musk to release the Twitter files. So I think this plays some precedence on that, but I'm still kind of waiting. But either way, it was done at the behest of these top officials over at Twitter. Part number two. Let's go on to part number two and what else was released on these Twitter files, right? Because this is important. Part two. Here we have Bari Weiss shows how senior Twitter executives created secret blacklists to de-amplify favored Twitter users and not just specific tweets. And I want to hit the pause button right here because you guys are going to get a ton of information. I have to be very blunt with you. Years ago, when this happened to my account on Twitter and even other social media websites, I screamed. I said, hey, there's blacklists going on. They're shadow banning me. They're hiding my tweets. They're de-amplifying my information. And I knew that specifically on Twitter. I had 12,000 some odd followers. And suddenly one day, just like that, I would go from thousands of likes on my tweets to less than 100, down to 50 likes per tweet, down to 10 likes at this point in some cases, which means all of my 12,000 followers, which is small compared to here on YouTube, weren't getting my posts and my information. So we were very clearly, I would show traffic from before and after, showing that that's exactly what they did. But I was ahead of the game. I told everybody that the federal department was colluding with social media, specifically the FBI. That was true. That came out to be true via these Twitter files, just like I stated. And that's why I'm going to give myself credit where credit's due, because I was 100% right. And I also am 100% right about how they de-amplified my post here. And by the way, if this happened on Twitter, then that means more than likely, of course, this also happened on Facebook and YouTube and Google, because I also had 29,000 followers on Facebook, and suddenly, just like that, one day, nobody saw my tweets anymore, to the tune of less than 100 likes per post. That happened one day on Facebook, and right here in my very own YouTube, they've done the same thing as well. By the way, when I was 1/4 of the size that I am now, I got more views and more likes on all of my posts than what I do at this stage in the game. Why? Because they have been de-amplifying my information. Elon Musk, can you please buy YouTube? Please buy YouTube. Just saying, I'm so sick of it. But if we don't expose, and if Twitter doesn't get exposed, and there's not any repercussions to what's going on with the Fed colluding with the social media website, if there is no consequences for their actions, then all the other social media sites are going to continue to do what they do. I'm just saying. That's why we really, really need a GOP taking both houses, and we just didn't get that, unfortunately. In the midterms, we need so much more than that because there's only so much that they can do. We need to start working at the state level. But number two, I'm going to go on, kind of sidetracked, which, by the way, speaking of number two, this is why I created restrictedrepublic.com. I cannot stress that enough. Get there and subscribe there because, again, like I said, one day they're just going to make us irrelevant unless we get Elon Musk or somebody like Elon Musk to buy YouTube and Google and Facebook. Then we're just going to be screwed. Right now, there's a 14-day free trial. Get there if you really, really and truly want to know what's going on. I can't. Again, I don't know how much longer we're going to be on these platforms. Please support me there. Please get to Restricted Republic. But with that, number two, kind of sidetracked. So this section focuses on how they would de-amplify information, right? So let's go on. And here's what she says. A new Twitter Files investigation reveals that teams of Twitter employees built blacklist, prevented disfavored tweets from trending, and actively limited the visibility of entire accounts or even trending topics, all in secret, without informing any of the users. And here's some examples that they give. Here's a Stanford doctor here, and you can see these yellow colored sections here. No strikes, but hey, they got an abuse strike and a trends blacklist, which means they were blacklisted, which prevented his tweets from trending. You can't have a trending, I can't say that word, a trending tweet. So it would be a trends blacklist. I guarantee you I'm on that list. Not just that one. I believe I'm on the search blacklist as well, where they can't search your name. They can't look you up. I know I am on Google. If you Google Lisa Haven on YouTube, my name doesn't even come up. It was other people's profiles. Now, I don't know if that's been changed as of now, but similar kind of stuff that they're doing here on Twitter. And you can see he was striked. Dan Bongino was striked with a search blacklist as well, and a notified spike there as well. And then we also have Charlie Kirk. You can see here, recent abuse strike, notification spike, do not amplify. So that was put specifically on his profile. And it gets libs of TikToks and others. But you can see there is that evidence, direct evidence, that they were putting these blocks and bans on conservatives. Notice that this wasn't happening to, well, Democrats or progressives. Nope, just conservative after conservative after conservative after conservative, maybe some libertarians in there as well, which I tend to be more libertarian, right? More equal stance, meaning government stay the hell out, limited government, but government stay the hell out and let us do what we need to do as long as you're not hurting or causing violence of any kind, right? Or doing things like spam and porn and all of that. There's more to it, but that's just the basic. But the thing is, we were told for years by the mainstream media and Jack Dorsey and Twitter itself, there's no such thing as a shadow ban or a blacklist. Here's just a reminder of that. Here we have Jack Dorsey himself following up on this with a lot more detail. We don't shadow ban, and we certainly don't shadow ban based on political viewpoints. We do rank tweets by default to make Twitter more immediately relevant. Now, again, we're not 100% sure if he knew about everything that his heads of department were doing. But here's Twitter itself. People are asking us if we shadow ban. We don't. Read more to get all the facts. Then we also have Dave Rubin asking a direct question here. Do you shadow ban based on political beliefs? Simple yes or no will do. And you can see Jack Dorsey respond with no. And it's like, yeah, right. Then we also have that they testified under oath about this, saying we don't do this. Jack Dorsey testified under oath. Twitter does not censor or shadow ban conservatives. Again, this is all now coming out that they did do that via the Twitter files, right? But she goes on to say how they justified it over as Twitter. Instead of calling it a shadow ban, they called it visibility filtering. What many people call shadow banning, Twitter executives and employees call visibility filtering, or VF. Multiple high-level sources confirmed, right? So Visibility filtering is a way for them to suppress what people see to different levels. It's a very powerful tool. And this is according to a Twitter employee. But that's not the only thing that they said. I want you to see this next quote from Twitter employees. And here's what they say, quote, "We control visibility quite a bit, and we control the amplification of your content quite a bit. And normal people do not know how much we do." One Twitter engineer told us 2 additional Twitter employees conserved. It goes on. "The group that decided whether to limit the reach of certain users was the Strategic Response Team, Global Escalation Team, or SRTGET. It often handled up to 200 cases a day. This is the team that Twitter used to silence you and I." And this is really, really, really important because, like they said, we control visibility quite a lot, and the average person doesn't know how much we do. I wonder, is YouTube doing something like that? Because it certainly feels that way when all my information is hidden when I was 1/4 the size I was before, 1/4, and I got quadruple the amount of views that I do today. How does that happen? Unless there's some kind of blacklist or de-amplification filter or visibility filter. What's it called? What is it called? Now, this group was headed up by his Twitter executives, and you can see some of the names here that you can see Yoel Roth there, Dorsey, Parag, and others are supposed to be involved in this particular group, right? But you know what? Lying to Congress can put you at risk of perjury, contempt of court, these kinds of things. So I think Twitter should be held accountable because, again, if they're not, then what's going to stop any other agency or social media group from doing it, like Facebook or YouTube, right? Or Google. And here we have Zero Hedge, dupe or designated defendant, the criminal case against Jack Dorsey. It goes on to point out this important point in this article. Lying in public is generally not a crime. It's not. However, when you repeat a lie to federal investigators or Congress or the courts, it becomes a federal offense. Federal offense. This question is whether Dorsey was left in the dark on those decisions. He was reportedly a member of the SRTGET. However, some of the files indicate that these decisions may have been made without his knowledge. That includes the decision on Hunter Biden laptop scandal, which Dorsey called a total mistake. The question is, what did he know and when did he know? And of course, the GOP could pursue perjury or contempt sanctions. This should really end the Twitter executives' careers, bare minimum, because they partook in direct censorship of entire groups of people just because of their political beliefs. Entire group. Part 3. What else is coming out? Let's go to part 3 of the Twitter files. Matt Taibbi documents how senior Twitter executives censored tweets by Trump in the run-up to the November 2020 election while regularly engaging with representatives of United States government law enforcement agencies. That's huge. One could ask, what influence did that have on the election then? Good question. But it goes on to get some file dumps in here, and it says, we'll show you what has not been revealed as of yet, and it's the erosion of standards within the company in months before J6. Decisions by high-ranking executives to violate their own policies and more against the backdrop of ongoing documented interaction with federal agencies. Completely and utterly illegal. Here's some more information on that. As soon as they finished banning Trump, Twitter executives started possessing new power or processing new power. They prepared to ban future presidents and White Houses, perhaps even Joe Biden. The new administration says one executive will not be suspended by Twitter unless it's absolutely necessary. Now, that's a major power trip for these social media companies. Hey, if we could do it to Trump, then we can do it to anyone. kind of mentality, right? But let's go on to see a little bit more information on that, on how they colluded with these federal agencies, specifically the FBI. And here we have some of Roth's later slacks indicate his weekly confabs with federal law enforcement involving separate meetings. Here he ghosts the FBI and DHS respectively to go first to an Aspen Institute thing, then take a call with Apple. Here's more collusion here. Here the FBI sends reports about a pair of tweets, right, that involved an Indian counselor here and a Republican, John Bashman, claiming between 2% to 25% of the ballots by mail are being rejected for errors. And you can see the request here that was made directly by the FBI. Hey, we want this removed, says the FBI. And then, of course, here's another one. The group also decided to then apply learn how voting is safe and secure levels because of the process initiated by the FBI. The FBI, this is proof, the FBI colluded with Twitter. They've got the receipt. They've got the email. And here we have Fox News. We also know that, well, they colluded weekly with Twitter. As a reminder, foxnews.com, FBI warned Twitter during weekly meeting of Hunter Biden hack and leak operation before censoring the New York Post. Let's just have these weekly meetings. Then we also have the FBI, the DHS, reported tweets for election misinformation. These were reports that FBI and DHS, handed over to Twitter saying, oh, we want this silenced. And then comes this interesting little picture, James Baker. Now, James Baker, he went through the Twitter files before they were released. The problem with James Baker is he was the one coordinating directly with the FBI, so he would have reason to skim through those files and to remove certain information. Take a look at this article on the epictimes.com. James Baker may face serious ethics charges, and I hope he does, for vetting Twitter files without Musk's knowledge. So he looked through these Twitter files before they were posted, vetting them for information that, you may not want to post when he is personally involved. Again, not approved by Musk. It goes on. In an interview with NTD, Davis pointed out that Baker was a top appointee in the Obama Justice Department, and he worked as the general counsel of the FBI. General counsel of the FBI. And after being fired from the agency, he became a top lawyer at Twitter. At the social media firm, Baker was working with the FBI and suppressing the New York Post reporting about Hunter Biden's laptop scandal, an issue which had an impact in the 2020 presidential election, Davis stated. It goes on. Twitter's new management under Musk selected two journalists to make some of the controversial internal emails public. The first batch of these Twitter files was published December 2nd. More were supposed to be released. However, it got delayed. One of the journalists, Matt, revealed in a series of tweets that the reason for the delay was Baker. The first batch of Twitter files was vetted by Baker without the knowledge of the new management, he said on Twitter. The news that Baker was reviewing the Twitter files surprised everyone involved, to say the least. New Twitter chief Elon Musk acted quickly to exit Baker. In other words, you're fired. During the NTD interview, Davis pointed out that Baker's involvement in the vetting of Twitter files means that there was a conflict of interest where he is reviewing his own files that are damaging to him personally and thus working against the clients. And if that's the case, he faces ethics charges. Bang, 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 bang. If that's the case, he should face those ethics charges. I mean, these are violations of our First Amendment all over the place. Let's go to part number 4, just the latest thread here. And this is by Mike Schellenberg. Twitter files part 4, the removal of Donald J. Trump, January 7th. As the pressure builds, Twitter executives build the case for a permanent ban. Let's build and build and build. In fact, he goes on to state on January 7th, senior Twitter executives create justifications to ban Trump, meaning let's find ways to ban him we may not have on our terms of service, but we'll figure it out. They seek a change of policy, and this is how they figured it out. They seek to change a policy for Trump alone, distinct from other political leaders, and they express no concern for the free speech or democracy implications of such a ban. In other words, let's make rules here at Twitter to ban the president, former president of the United States, to make it work for us. Now, he goes on to expand a little bit. For years, Twitter said that such a ban would be not good, right? But then they changed their mind afterwards. But after the events of January 6th, the internal and external pressure on Twitter CEO Jack grows. Former First Lady Michelle Obama, tech journalist, and ADL, Anti-Defamation League, high-tech VC, and many others publicly call on Twitter to permanently ban Trump. Michelle Obama, a former First Lady of the United States, former First Lady President, ban the former president. Wow, interesting. Around 11:30, Roth DMs his colleagues with news that he is excited to share. Guess what? Jack Dorsey just approved a repeat offender for civic integrity. The new approach would create a system where 5 violations or strikes would result in permanent suspension. Now, why would you want to do that? Okay, so this is how they kind of worked around it. They said, you know what? Trump has 4 strikes. So let's make it so if you get 5 strikes, you're permanently banned. Let's change the rules, make it a permanent thing. And then they just waited for Trump to issue another strike, which they would call their election strike. You can't talk against the election. So then what happened? Well, progress. They were very happy about what happened and about this particular thing here. And then it goes on to state this. The colleagues wanted to know if the decision meant that Trump can finally be banned. The person asked, does the incitement to violence aspect change the calculus? Roth said it doesn't. Trump continues just to have 1 strike remaining. Then it goes on, of course, President Trump gets that 1 strike, right? He finally got the strike, and now 5 strikes, you're out. Now you're banned, and they got exactly what they wanted. Roth colleagues' query about incitement to violence heavily foreshadows what will happen the following day. On January 8th, Twitter announces a permanent ban on Trump due to, get this, the risk of further incitement to violence. Complete and utter BS. So now we have them creating a policy to make it so, just 1 more strike, Trump is out. Thus, we win, pat on the backs, progress. See how they do that? Then they went on to blacklist other terms, like I think stop the steal and all that other stuff, cranking and all of that. And you can see some of the information here. And what really irks me is this particular tweet, by the way. So there's this person you can see here, and they're bashing on Trump, saying here, F off, oh my gosh, Twitter says this is inciting violence. So when they came across this particular tweet over at Twitter, they debated on, they said, well, this particular tweet is banned. And so what do we do when the banned tweet is being criticized by someone? Should we leave it up or should we not? In other words, when the left posts about it and bashes it, it's okay. But when the right posts about it and supports it, it's not okay. You see how that works? So they actually struggled with this. And you can see they are citing Trump. They are criticizing Trump. So I'm a bit hesitant with applying a strike to this particular user. That's what the Twitter employees were saying. Some of them, not all. Maybe this particular team. But there you have it. Well, what do we do? Because these people are on our side. Totally terrifying. And now we also have potentially Elon Musk hinting about other files that he intends to release. And here's that hint of what could come in the future. And he goes, my pronouns are prosecute Fauci. In other words, is he telling us that he's going to bring up information on, I don't know, the CDC, the NIH, and Fauci regarding their potential collusion, because I don't know. He hasn't dropped the files yet. I don't know. Is he going to drop something on Fauci? Waiting on pins and needles. Meanwhile, we already know that the White House colluded with social media sites, specifically Facebook, because Jen Psaki admitted it, which, by the way, they're using in court now. The Missouri and Louisiana attorney generals have taken the Biden administration to court, even Jen Psaki and Fauci and Biden, his administration. And in this particular case, Jen Psaki has attempted to, avoid the subpoena because she knows she admitted it from the White House. And what this particular court case is about, Missouri and Louisiana, I believe it's Missouri and Louisiana, might not be 100, but 2 states, and their the state attorney generals went after the Biden administration, Psaki and Fauci, for colluding specifically with social media. And now that it's making headway in court and Psaki has been subpoenaed, she's trying to evade the subpoena. And the reason that she would do that is because she admitted it from the pulpit. Here's redstate.com. Jen Psaki's weak attempt to avoid subpoena gets mocked. And here's what she said, by the way. I want you to see specifically how she admitted specifically to doing that. Here we have New York Post, White House flagging post for Facebook to censor COVID misinformation. And here's her words directly. We are in regular touch with the social media platforms, and those engagements typically happen through members of our senior staff and also members of our COVID-19 team. Given as Dr. Murthy conveyed, this is a big issue of misinformation, specifically on the pandemic. Bum, bum, bum. That's an admission, at least on the surface level, of the White House, Biden administration colluding with Facebook to suppress COVID-19 misinformation. That violates the First Amendment completely and utterly. And I would vouch that could call for impeachment. But again, what does the mainstream media do? They're ignoring all of this. Why would they do that? Because they know that they're committing crimes and their crimes have been exposed. And so they downplay it. It's old news. Yeah, not a big deal. Not a big deal. The big deal has exposed the fact that our federal government, FBI, departments within, are working with social media companies to ban information that they don't like or remove information that they don't like. Anyhow, wanted to bring you the latest on all of that. Can't wait to get your comments. Please make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.